If you switch your operating system to Debian Testing, you gain newer packages, but you lose something critical: guaranteed immediate security updates. Debian's official documentation is clear. Security fixes do not go straight to testing. They go to unstable first, and then they migrate. A process that takes at least 2 days, and sometimes much longer if there's a transition block. This means testing users can be left exposed to known public vulnerabilities while the patch sits waiting in the queue. When TUXEDO Computers announced they were dropping Ubuntu for Debian testing, this was the first question many of you asked. How can a hardware vendor ship an OS built on a foundation that explicitly warns users against using it for secure servers? Today, we're going to look at TUXEDO's exact plan to fix Debian's security gap. We'll break down what they are doing right, where the risks are, and whether this new model is actually safe enough for your daily driver. To understand the risk, we first need to understand how Debian handles security. When a major vulnerability is discovered, say a privilege escalation flaw in sudo, the Debian security team issues a Debian Security Advisory, or DSA. These DSAs apply directly to Debian stable. The security team backports the fix, tests it, and pushes it out immediately. If you are running Debian stable, you are protected almost as soon as the patch is public. But testing doesn't get DSAs. Instead, the package maintainer uploads the fixed version to unstable. Then the system waits. By design, packages must sit in unstable for a minimum number of days, usually 2 to 5, depending on the urgency, before they are allowed to migrate into testing. And that's the best case scenario. If the new package fails to build on a minor architecture, or if it's tied up in a larger library transition, it gets blocked. During that entire waiting period, the vulnerability is public. Exploit code might be circulating on GitHub. And Debian testing users are simply waiting for the migration script to let the patch through. This isn't a secret flaw, it's how the system is designed to work. Debian itself explicitly warns users that testing has the worst security update speed of all its branches. So, if TUXEDO is building an OS on this branch, they can't just rely on Debian. They have to build their own security infrastructure on top of it. TUXEDO knows about this migration delay. They've outlined exactly how they plan to bypass it. They are not just pointing their users at the upstream Debian testing servers. They are maintaining their own repositories. They are mirroring the Debian base to maintain control over the distribution flow. The first step in their plan is detection. TUXEDO says they are monitoring the Debian security tracker and CVE databases. When a critical vulnerability is disclosed, their system flags whether the packages in their testing mirror are exposed. If a package is vulnerable, TUXEDO will not wait for the 2 to 10 day migration. Instead, they plan to actively intervene. They will pull the patch package directly from Debian Unstable. They run it through an accelerated quality assurance process and push it directly to TUXEDO OS users. If the patch is not in Unstable yet, they say they will create their own backports. Their goal is to deliver security fixes within hours, giving the OS the reaction time of a stable distribution. Remember, critical attack vectors, the kernel, browsers, and graphics stack are maintained independently by TUXEDO. Those do not rely on the Debian testing flow. They are patched and pushed directly by the TUXEDO team. By the way, I just checked our channel analytics, and it turns out about 88% of you watching right now aren't subscribed yet. If you've been getting value from these Linux deep dives, hitting that subscribe button is the best free way to support the channel and make sure you never miss the next one. Now, pushing security updates within hours sounds great, but speed introduces a new risk: instability. If TUXEDO bypasses Debian's waiting period and rushes a patch from unstable straight to your machine, what happens if that patch breaks your desktop? This is where TUXEDO's switch to Btrfs and Snapper becomes crucial. It acts as their operational safety net. If an urgent security update causes a regression, say it breaks your Wi-Fi or crashes your display manager, You can simply reboot, select the pre-update snapshot from the grub menu, and your system is instantly restored to a working state. But we need to be very clear about what Btrfs does not do. A snapshot is not a security feature. If you roll back your system to fix a broken update, you are also rolling back the security patch. Your system is working again, but the vulnerability is back. Btrfs protects your uptime. It does not protect you from exploits. The burden is still entirely on TUXEDO to deliver a patch that is both fast and stable. To understand exactly what TUXEDO is up against, we need to look at a real-world example. Let's rewind to June 2025 and look at CVE-2025-32463. This was a critical privilege escalation flaw in sudo. It had a CVSS score of 9.3. And worse, proof of concept exploit code was circulating immediately. It allowed a local user to gain a root shell in seconds. When the vulnerability went public, Canonical delivered a fix for Ubuntu on the exact same day. Debian stable wasn't even affected because its packages were old enough that they didn't include the vulnerable code. But Debian testing was caught right in the middle. The Debian maintainer uploaded the patched sudo package to unstable on the morning of the disclosure. But because of the mandatory migration rules, testing users had to wait. The Debian security tracker showed testing as vulnerable, while unstable was already fixed. For at least 2 days, users running Debian testing were sitting on the publicly exploitable root vulnerability. They just had to wait for the migration script to run its course. Ironically, when that sudo vulnerability hit, TUXEDO proudly pointed out that their OS was safe, because it was built on the stable foundation of Ubuntu. Now they are moving to the exact branch that was left exposed. This is the precise gap their new security model has to close. The migration delay isn't just a flat 2 days. It gets much worse during what Debian calls transitions. When a core system library, like glibc or a major GNOME update, needs to be upgraded, it often requires hundreds of other packages to be recompiled against it. While that massive rebuild is happening, Debian temporarily freezes migration for those packages. If a security vulnerability is discovered in a package that is caught in one of these transitions, the patch cannot migrate to testing until the entire transition is finished. This is why Debian explicitly warns that in the months following a new stable release, when developers are dumping massive amounts of new code into unstable, testing can severely lag behind on security updates. A 2-day delay can easily turn into a 2-week delay. TUXEDO says they have a plan for this too. They stated that during these critical phases, they will increase the frequency of their manual package checks. If a security fix is stuck in a transition blockade, they intend to route the fix around the blockade and push it directly through their own repositories. This is a significant commitment. It means TUXEDO isn't just running an automated mirror script. They are committing human engineering hours to untangle Debian's dependency webs whenever a security patch gets stuck. It's the right technical approach, but it's incredibly labor intensive. So far, we've looked at this from the perspective of an individual Linux enthusiast. But TUXEDO sells hardware to businesses, developers, and enterprise environments. These are users who require compliance, stability, and predictable update cycles. This is where the shift from Ubuntu LTS to Debian testing feels the most jarring. Ubuntu LTS is a known quantity in the enterprise world. It offers 5 years of predictable support, kernel live patching, and a massive, dedicated security team at Canonical. Debian testing is, by definition, a continuous stream of changing software. When asked about this, TUXEDO stated that they will offer adapted update cycles for their business customers through their own infrastructure. This implies that they will hold back the rolling updates of Debian testing, stabilize them, and release them in controlled batches for enterprise clients. If you put all these pieces together, their own repositories, active CVE monitoring, direct package pools, Btrfs snapshots, and adapted release cycles, TUXEDO is essentially building their own independent Linux distribution. They are using Debian Testing as the raw material, but the final product relies entirely on TUXEDO's internal engineering. Which brings us to the ultimate question. As a system administrator, do I trust this model? And more importantly, should you? TUXEDO has a solid technical plan, but as a system administrator, a plan isn't enough. I look for proven execution, and right now there are 3 major unanswered questions about this new model. First is the embargo problem. When a massive vulnerability is discovered, major players like Canonical, Red Hat, and Debian Stable get advance notice under embargo. They build and test the patches in secret, so the fix is ready the exact second the vulnerability goes public. TUXEDO admits they don't have embargo access everywhere. That means, for some critical flaws, their clock only starts ticking after the exploit is public knowledge. Second is transparency. Ubuntu has the USN, Ubuntu Security Notices. Debian has DSAs. If a package is vulnerable, you can look it up and see exactly when it was patched. TUXEDO hasn't yet established a public, trackable advisory system for these testing-based packages. We have to trust their automated monitoring is catching everything. Finally, there is no binding SLA. Within hours is a target, not a guarantee. So, can TUXEDO OS stay secure on Debian Testing? Yes, the architecture allows for it. By controlling the kernel, browsers, and graphics, and actively pulling from unstable, they can mitigate the testing delay. But they are asking users to trade the proven, massive security infrastructure of Ubuntu LTS for the unproven internal Q&A process of a hardware vendor. It's a bold move, and I'll be watching their response times closely. If you missed the full breakdown of why they abandoned Ubuntu in the first place and the migration risks involved, you need to see this video right here. And if you want to support the channel directly and get some cool perks, consider clicking the join button below to become a sudo user or get root access. Thanks for watching.